Welcome back to From the Pages of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the July 1993 issue. This is one of those issues where everything feels like it's pulling in different directions at once. The WWF has a fighting champion trying to prove consistency matters. WCW has a monster champion who doesn't care about consistency, only destruction. And somewhere in the middle, the biggest name in wrestling can't seem to decide if he's even part of the business anymore. That tension runs through the entire magazine, and you feel it from the first page. It actually starts on a much more serious note than you might expect. From the desk of Stewart, M. Sachs doesn't jump into angles or titles. It's personal, it's reflective. It's about a kind of pain that has nothing to do with the ring, and it sets a tone that this issue isn't just about wins and losses. There's a weight to it right out of the gate, and it carries into the rest of the issue, whether you realize it or not. Between Fall's acts as that bridge back into wrestling, easing you into the world the magazine is about to cover. And then Ringside with Bill Apter hits you with a mix that only Apter could really balance. One moment there's a sense of respect, a moment of silence, something grounded. Then it flips. The heck with Hulk isn't subtle. There's frustration there. Real frustration. And then, just as quickly, the tone shifts again with Doinkamania, reminding you how strange the business can be at the same time it's being criticized. That frustration keeps building in win, lose, or draw, where Jimmy Hart is called out directly as the biggest phony in the sport. There's no soft language, it's a straight shot. And then the steel cage pulls things back just enough, mixing in news and even highlighting something positive. Hulk Hogan showing a genuine act of kindness. That balance is important because Hogan is about to become one of the most talked about figures in the entire issue, and not in a way he was used to. And Focus shifts the conversation in a completely different direction. It's not about a feud. It's not about a title. It's about the state of women's wrestling and the idea that it needs to come back in a meaningful way. That's not something you see treated seriously in every issue, but here it is, presented as something worth paying attention to, something the industry is missing. And then off the top rope with Eddie Elner comes in and does what it always does. It answers the mail, but it doesn't play nice doing it. The responses are sharp, sometimes dismissive, sometimes direct, and always written like the writer is more than willing to disagree with the readers. It's not there to validate opinions. It's there to challenge them. Then the issue shifts into its main body, and everything tightens. The press conference with Big Van Vader is the centerpiece, and it feels like it. This isn't a quick interview. This is positioned as access that doesn't come easy, especially with Harley Race controlling who gets close. And when Vader speaks, it's exactly what you'd expect. He doesn't talk about being the best in a polished way. He talks about the pain game, about hurting people, about what it takes to hold that WCW world title. Sting is part of the conversation, but not as an equal. More as someone who exists to be tested, to be broken down. The tone isn't competitive, it's dominant. Vader doesn't present himself as a champion trying to stay on top. He presents himself as something that doesn't get moved at all. Then you move to the WWF side, and the contrast couldn't be clearer. Bret Hart is framed completely differently. He doesn't take any challenge. Lying down isn't just a headline, it's the identity. Since beating Ric Flair, he's not ducking anyone, he's not picking his spots. He's taking every challenger and beating them straight up. The tone is respect, consistency, effort. This is a champion who proves himself over and over again, not through intimidation, but through performance. From there, the issue dives into personality conflict with egomania. Ric Flair and Rick Rude aren't being compared as wrestlers. They're being dissected as personalities, two men who see themselves as the center of everything. And because of that, there's no room for the other. The idea isn't whether they can work together. It's that they won't, and eventually that kind of ego forces something to happen. Then the tone turns darker. Now it can be told, focuses on Pallbearer and the decision that changed everything for the Undertaker. Instead of protecting him, instead of guiding him safely, Vader put him in front of Yokozuna on purpose, not as a mistake, as a strategy. The reasoning is clear. The Undertaker was losing that edge, that fear factor, that sense that he couldn't be stopped. And the only way to bring it back was to put him against something overwhelming. It reframes the entire situation, not as a loss, as a calculated risk to restore what made him what he was. And then you hit the article that feels like it's been building since the beginning of the issue. Don't jerk us around, Hulk. This isn't praise. This isn't celebration. This is the magazine, and by extension, the fans asking the very direct question, what are you doing? WrestleMania appearances, movies, talk of television, then back again, then gone again. After years of loyalty, the tone here is simple. Pick a direction, because the fans are tired of guessing. WCW gets another spotlight with Slamboree 93, and this is presented as something different. Not just a show, but an event built around history. Legends, current stars, fan interaction, a full weekend built around wrestling past and present coming together. It's not just nostalgia, it's business, it's WCW finding a way to use its history as part of its identity moving forward. The back half of the magazine locks everything into place. The official wrestling ratings lay out the hierarchy, who matters, who's rising, who's slipping. Then the ratings analysis zooms in even tighter, focusing specifically on managers, breaking down the top 10 and what they actually contribute beyond just standing at ringside. The scouting reports go deeper, and this is where the magazine really shows its value. Hulk Hogan, Rick Rude, Eddie Gilbert, and others aren't just listed. They're evaluated, strengths, weaknesses, direction. It reads like analysis, not hype, and that's the difference. The close-up on Davey Boy Smith pulls things back into a tighter profile, a snapshot of where he stands, what he represents, and how he fits into the bigger picture. Arena reports stretch everything out again. Results coming in from everywhere, different towns, different matches, all feeding into the idea that this isn't just a few big names, it's a full active world. And then Wrestling Inquirer and Hot Shot close things out the way PWI always does. A quick hits, last minute updates, one more reminder that by the time you finish the issue, things are already moving again. And through all of it, the ads and the structure reinforce the same message. If you want to keep up, this is where you do it. Rankings, reports, interviews, opinions, it's all here. And it's all moving at once. What makes this issue stand out is how clearly it defines its champions. Vader dominates, Bret Hart endures, Hogan hesitates, and the magazine doesn't try to smooth that out. It leans into it, and if you remember this time, this is exactly how it felt. Not settled, not clear, everything in motion. Drop your thoughts. Who did you side with here? Vader, Bret, or were you still waiting on Hogan? See you next time. Farewell from the Empire State.